3 lifelong friends, 6 trusty balls, and endless NFL takes. Welcome to 3 Guys, 6 Balls NFL Podcast. Welcome to episode 13 of 3 Guys, 6 Balls NFL Podcast. Today we have a special guest on the show. It is Garrett, who is Avery's cousin, who is a Seahawks fan. Garrett, why don't you start us off today by just telling us a little bit about how you became a Seahawks fan?
Well, it was kind of during the peak Legion of Boom. My brother, Hunter, turned it on, and I saw Richard Sherman lay a guy out, and I was like, yeah, these are my guys. And ever since then, I've just stuck to that one team. I think the first Madden I ever played was 15, which was the only Seattle player was it Sherman that was on that cover? I think it was.
I think so.
And yeah, been a Seattle fan ever since. I love them.
Where do you live?
I live in North Carolina, so the complete opposite side.
You're not a Panthers fan?
No, not a Panther. I do love the Panthers, though. Because that was kind of during the height of Cam Newton. So I did get a Cam Newton jersey for Christmas one year.
Oh, that didn't work out too well.
No, it did not.
I'm so sorry. We have to stop just literally everything. Did you say Richard Sherman's the only Seahawks player that's ever been on the Madden cover?
Was
no,
he?
he said he was on.
He was
He didn't say
on.
that.
But you say he's the
Was
only
he not
one?
the only?
No,
He's not. Sean Alexander was on it.
Alexander. Madden
Oh
07.
my gosh, I forgot
Are you
about
10
Sean.
years old?
He's not old enough for that.
Good God.
I'm not old enough for Sean.
A little
I'm not old.
child.
I didn't hear you say it was the only one.
Yeah,
geez.
I know.
I stopped listening to anything else you said. Richard Sherman.
I'm
the
not
only
old enough
one
for
of my-
Sean Alexander.
Oh
I
my-
grew up during Beast Mode.
Wait, how old are you?
I'm 16. I turned 17 in August.
Okay, we'll cut you some slack then.
This
Yeah.
is important information to have. A literal child. Okay.
I know. All right, don't attack me for this.
We're old men, Garrett. We're not.
I know, Avery, you're the oldest cousin. You're old.
Literally twice his age.
Yeah.
I got to keep all of them in line.
Wait, so Garrett, you were old enough to see the pass that was intercepted at the 1-yard line.
That is the first Super Bowl I remember, actually.
Oh,
Yes.
Good memory.
that's a rough
Sad,
one.
sad
Shout
day.
out.
Really tested your faith there.
Yeah. In fact, my brother's always like, why don't you just switch teams? I'm like, I can't. It's not how it works.
Can't do that now. Once you pick one,
I
you're
know.
there for life.
His brother did that. He was a Tar Heel fan, and then he didn't get into Carolina, went to NC State, and now he's a State fan, which is like cardinal sin number 1 over
That was
there.
TJ, not Hunter. Hunter
That's
didn't go to
Hunter?
college.
TJ.
Yeah.
TJ's watching this.
Just doxing all your cousins. Just doxing all your cousins right now.
He also went to the wrong team. State? Ugh.
Not.
Better or worse than Duke? Would you rather be a Duke fan?
They're not. They shouldn't be in the same conference. NC State is near Division II.
No.
Shout out Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
He played
Shout
there.
out Pete Carroll. Carroll coached there for a few years, didn't he?
Oh, you're the one that said it.
Shoot, did he?
Yeah, he did.
He also said that there's only been one Seahawks player on the Madden campus.
Okay. No, Carroll did coach there, and I think it was like,
He did. 80 to 82. He was the defensive coordinator.
yeah.
Oh, you remember that, Garrett?
Yeah.
I was in the stands.
But not Sean Alexander.
No. Never gonna live that down, am I?
Nope.
No, never.
That's getting clipped.
What's going on?
It is,
Instagram.
isn't it?
We're gonna
No.
have a little pinwheel, that little Mac loading sign over Will's head when you say it, and he's just like,
Honestly, it's your benefit that I called you out on the show for it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yes,
didn't.
it
The
is.
internet was going to destroy you. So
If we're self-aware about it, the punishment in the comment section is less.
because by the time people are typing the angry comment, what about Sean Alexander? I come in. Well, what about Sean
Yeah.
Alexander? So you'll be okay.
Rendering all other mean comments redundant because Will already did it.
Yes, I appreciate it, Will.
Getting
What
bold.
is-
YouTube
Some
101.
I'll think about it. Depending on how well you do the rest of the show, I might not put it on.
Edit.
Oh boy.
He's only going to cut out my portion of calling you out, though. You're still going to say it.
All right. Well, thanks, Garrett, for coming on with us today. We appreciate it. We're grateful to have a dedicated listener on the show. So thanks for being a fan and for coming on. So let's get into our first topic today, which is going to be which ringless quarterback will be the next one to win a championship. And so, Garrett, since you're our guest, why don't you get us started?
Oh gosh, that is a tough one. I am thinking the most recent MVP, Josh Allen. I love Keon Coleman. Did he produce as much as I wanted him to this year? I don't think he did. I'm a big fan of Kincaid. Deion Dawkins I love, especially since they just got that protection of the year award they're putting in this new year for offensive linemen. I think he's a great offensive lineman piece to hold down on the line. But I think if Josh Allen can play his cards right, if the front office can play their cards right, and get him some more wide receiver help, I think he can definitely be the first ringless quarterback to win one.
Okay. Well, you agree with, I think, the majority vote here. So in our Instagram sports podcasters group, I put out a poll for which ringless quarterback would be the next one to win a championship. And there was 22 total votes. 8 of those votes went to Josh Allen. So he received the most votes out of all the quarterbacks. And then just so you guys know, the remaining votes, Lamar Jackson had 5, Justin Herbert had 3, Caleb Williams had 2. Granted, they were both from Bears fans, so take that for what you will. Joe Burrow had 1, Jaden Daniels had 1, CJ Stroud had 1, and Baker Mayfield had 1.
Baker Mayfield? Who is that
Mayfield?
guy? Find him. Dox him.
I'm surprised Jaden Daniels didn't get one.
He did. He had 1.
He did? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Who voted Baker Mayfield? Are they a Bucs fan? They have to be.
I think the only people that voted for their actual team are the 2 Bears fans and 1 Chargers fan.
I know that guy.
Shout out Tim, answer the call. And just so you guys know, with this poll, specifically with the Caleb Williams option, I put in parentheses next to his name, "Be honest, Bears fans," and they still both voted for Caleb Williams.
That's probably why.
Probably.
You can't tell a Bears fan to be honest.
All right, well, Avery, who do you have as your guy?
I'm going to go Bo Nix.
I thought you might go that route.
Nah, I'm going to go Lamar Jackson. For some reason, I just feel like he's going to sneak one out before Josh Allen. I think he can get it done before Josh. I like Josh. I think his team currently probably has the best shot, but we're talking about multiple years down the road just to be able to get one. Like, I mean, teams, the composition of the teams will change. I think Lamar gets it first.
I thought about Lamar, but the reason I didn't pick Lamar is kind of also the same reason why I didn't pick Josh Allen. And it's kind of what we've talked about several times on the show is when you need that play, who does Lamar have to throw to? I know he's got Zay Flowers, but to me, Zay Flowers doesn't do it. He's a good receiver, but he doesn't do it for me. And they just signed DeAndre Hopkins, but he doesn't do it for me either. He's washed.
He obviously has Mark Andrews.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up too.
He's got
Mark Andrews.
too.
We all know how that ended last year.
Didn't it happen like twice?
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah.
He's never gonna live that down. All right, Will, did you have either Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson?
I did not. I'm going to go off script here a bit. I'm going to take a bit of heat for this, and I don't really care. I'm not saying Will Howard. Let's just go ahead and get that out of the way.
I was hoping you would not say
I
Will Howard.
want to. Personally,
You would have been ripped apart for saying Will
personally,
Howard.
I think it's the right pick. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think it's the right pick. He's not the next ringless quarterback to win. He is a ringless quarterback that's going to win, but not the next one. I'm going to go with Tua. And I understand that is not a popular pick, especially by Avery's face. But when Tua is in and he's healthy, there are not a lot of quarterbacks better than him stat-wise. Now, granted, stats don't tell the full story. We've been saying for years that team is complete. They just need a quarterback. And when Tua's in, he is that quarterback. He is the guy that can do all the right things. They spent their first-round pick this year bolstering their defensive line. A lot of their offensive weapons stayed. Tyreek is still there somehow. Devon Achane crushed it this time.
Pretty close. Pretty close. At least you didn't say acne this time.
I wanted to. They've got a good running back core, especially bringing in Ollie Gordon. They bolstered their offensive line as well to hopefully keep Tua out of concussion protocol this year. I think that team has a team ready to do it. They're in the AFC East, so it's a winnable division. I understand the Bills are there, but who cares? And so I like Tua of all the ringless. If he can stay healthy, I like Tua.
Okay, that's interesting. I did not expect that at all.
What, you going to say Dak because I'm a Cowboys fan? Dude, no way.
No. That I was...
Not to say Dak because you're a Cowboys fan.
You're right.
Exactly.
You're right.
There's actually a reason why I didn't list Dak as a quarterback on that poll I sent out, because it's not going to happen. Avery, give us some thoughts on Tua.
Yeah, I mean, it could be Tua. I mean, if he's not on the Dolphins and he's injured and a better quarterback is up, like then he might win a ring.
Well, that's not going to happen.
Don't see
though.
him staying healthy.
You know who
If he goes to play backup for the Chiefs?
the next 2 quarterbacks behind Tua are Zach Wilson and Quinn Ewers. So if it's not Tua, it's nobody.
It's gonna be like one of those Nick Foles situations where like it's not Tua in the Super Bowl, but he like wins by default kind of thing. I like Tua though. It doesn't look like it, but I think I'll be honest. Okay, I'm a little salty because I had Tyreek on my team, and I see Tua go down, and I just know Tyreek's not going to touch the ball that season, and he didn't at all. God, Tua.
That's fair.
How's he getting injured? Are these concussions? What is this?
Mhm.
Yes, mostly.
Concussion?
Wait, you had Tyreek on your team this last season?
Yeah.
Didn't you have McCaffrey too?
Yeah. It was a small league.
How was last place? How'd that come out for you?
I did. I was actually somehow in first for like the first, I think like 4 weeks, 5 weeks. And then by the time the playoffs got there, I only had like 5 active players that were like still playing. I was one of those quitters. I hate them, but I was one of them.
I traded for McCaffrey, and it did not end up going well.
I hope you didn't trade much.
No, I didn't.
What'd
Because
you
I was
trade for him?
I think a second next year and a second year after. Something like that. It was just
Oh, is
2
this a
seconds.
dynasty thing?
Yeah.
Oh, I have no idea how that works. I've never done dynasty.
I'm on the drum line at my school, so everybody on drum line just does a whole big fantasy thing. And I won last year, and then I was like, I kind of need some help at running back. And I saw that McCaffrey was hurt, and I was like, I could probably get him for kind of cheap. He's going to come back and do great things.
No.
You would never find our drumline team participating in fantasy football.
No, you would not.
They're a different breed of people. I'm kidding. Do we have a drumline, or was it just marching band?
Probably just marching band. There was people who called themselves a drumline, I'm sure, trying to be Nick Cannon, but it just wasn't it.
Yeah. Times change.
All right, well, I'm going to give you guys my quarterback.
Yes,
so
please.
I went with Jaden Daniels. He has 69% completion percentage.
Nice.
He had a quarterback rating. He had a quarterback rating of 100.1. He had 891 rushing yards and 6 rushing touchdowns. A lot of people like to compare him to Lamar Jackson because of his running ability, but I'm actually going to compare him a little bit more to Patrick Mahomes. And the reason why is I just feel like when you watched Jaden Daniels play, that we've talked about on this show several times that the Chiefs just don't care about the regular season, and you can kind of tell when they play that Patrick Mahomes just does not care. Like, until the game is on the line and something needs to happen, he just doesn't really care. And the same thing when you watch Jaden Daniels last year. I just feel like he didn't really care what was happening in the game. Like, anything that had happened prior in the game, Jaden Daniels did not care. Until it came down to it, then he cared, and he made the play. One game specifically I want to point out is against the Bears when they were down 18-12 with 2 seconds left, and somehow they pulled off a Hail Mary pass to beat the Bears. And there were several games where he led them down the field for a game-winning field goal. He led them to an overtime win. It just seemed like Jaden Daniels has that Patrick Mahomes type of luck where somehow he just wins the game even though he shouldn't. And I know it's only been one season, but he just, to me, the way he carried himself was very similar to Patrick Mahomes in the sense that it didn't matter what had happened prior to that last drive. When it mattered, Jaden Daniels was going to win the game somehow.
I mean, that was a lot of conviction. You've got me convinced.
The only thing I'm scared of for Jaden Daniels is he going to have a little sophomore slump like C.J. Stroud did this year?
I think Jaden Daniels is better than C.J. Stroud, though, significantly. I know it does happen a lot where we see a sophomore slump, but I think with the truly special quarterbacks, you don't see that. And after his rookie season, I think that Jaden Daniels is truly special. Now, to try and convince Will even more, I'm going to throw out some stats here.
Dude, you've made the sale, all right?
Okay, so since 1998, there are 12 different teams from the NFC that have gone to the Super Bowl, and there's been 23 different quarterbacks for those 12 teams. There hasn't been a... Go ahead, Will.
I'm just doing the math here. Since 1998, so we're talking 27 years, right?
27 years.
There's
27
only
years, 12 teams.
teams. 12?
Yep, 27 years, 12 teams, and 23 quarterbacks.
That's not that many. That's not enough. Anyway, continue.
And this stat is fitting because the last team to go to the Super Bowl back-to-back is the Seattle Seahawks in 13 and 14. No team has gone to the Super Bowl in back-to-back years since the Seahawks did it in the NFC. So every year it's been a different team. So it was the Eagles last year, so that tells me that it's not going to be the Eagles this year, just based off of history. The last team to do it before the Seahawks was in 96 and 97 when the Packers did it twice. If you look at the 27 years, 12 teams, 23 quarterbacks, then you go to the AFC, Now, it's not since 1998. I did since 2001 for the AFC because that was Brady's first year winning the Super Bowl. But since 2001, so it's been 24 years, 8 different teams, 7 different quarterbacks.
Wow.
So 4 different times has there been a team that has gone in back-to-back years. And I think that just shows that in the AFC, you may have these guys like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson who are really good quarterbacks, but you've also got the guy who rules the AFC in Patrick Mahomes. Just like when Tom Brady was there, he had Peyton Manning and there's Ben Roethlisberger, who did go to the Super Bowl, and they won multiple Super Bowls, but they were spread out. They weren't, back-to-back like Tom Brady. He didn't go to the Super Bowl 9 times in the AFC like Tom Brady did. So I kind of feel like it's the same situation with the Chiefs. They've been to the Super Bowl, 5 times in the last 6 years? And then in the NFC, you have not the same team that's gone in back-to-back years since the Seattle Seahawks did it. And then before that, you go all the way back to 97 before you have the last team that did it before the Seahawks. So it's just the pattern. So I feel like it's going to be an NFC quarterback. The chances of that happening in the NFC are higher than in the AFC, in my opinion. Although I will say this, there's only been one team in the AFC that's ever gone to the Super Bowl in 4 straight years. And we all know who that is.
Oh, yeah.
The Buffalo Bills, who lost all 4 Super Bowls.
Buffalo Bills, all to the NFC East.
So history says that the Chiefs are not going to the Super Bowl again this year because that would be 4 years in a row.
Which means, to put all those stats together, we won't have the Chiefs or Eagles in the Super Bowl this year.
Yes.
Thank goodness.
Hopefully we can get a couple teams where it's like the NBA right now. Got to have our basketball reference in there. Where it's like the NBA, where there's going to be 2 teams who have never won a championship.
I can't wait to see a Bears-Jaguars Super Bowl. That's going to be great, guys. Yeah. Obviously, the Bears have won, but in all reality, you could get Lions and Texans. That could be interesting. Or
I am really glad that someone said Lions because I was kind of thinking, I was leaning towards Goff, but Frank Ragnow retired today.
He did.
So they lose a massive piece of their offensive line. I don't know if he can. I don't know. I mean, he was injury prone, yes, but I don't know if they can take a hit like that on the offensive line and be able to keep up their.
He couldn't take a hit like that. That's why he retired.
Dan Campbell's just going to put the pads on and go out there and play offensive line himself. So
Yeah.
I think they'll be fine, actually. Probably have a Marlboro hanging out at one side, straw to a bush light hanging out the other, and just blocking his life out. No big deal.
I did actually consider Jared Goff too. The reason I kind of didn't pick him is kind of the same reason I feel like most people don't, is Ben Johnson's not there as the offensive coordinator. But I did find a stat that kind of talked me out of that a little bit. So even though I didn't pick him, to make a case for Jared Goff real quick, everybody's saying that Jared Goff is not going to be as good without Ben Johnson, right? So last year with Ben Johnson, he had a quarterback rating of 111.8, which was the second best in the league behind Lamar Jackson. He completed 72.4% of his passes, and he threw 37 touchdown passes. He had a career year last year with Ben Johnson as his offensive coordinator. However, Ben Johnson was also the offensive coordinator the 2 seasons before that when Jared Goff did not have career years. So I think he's going to be just fine without Ben Johnson. Just because he had a career year with Ben Johnson, it doesn't mean he can't have a career year without Ben Johnson. He's also had a previous year in his career where he had a quarterback rating over 100 when he didn't have Ben Johnson as his coordinator with the Rams. So just because Ben Johnson is not the coordinator anymore, it doesn't necessarily mean that Jared Goff is going to take a step back.
I did a quick search for best ringless quarterbacks, and you know who has the most passing yards who never had a ring?
Who, like in NFL history, who had the most passing yards?
The most passing yards for a ringless quarterback. Career-wise. Yeah, Joel didn't start up for the game, so let me just insert it right in the middle here. The most passing yards for a quarterback who never won a Super Bowl championship. That sounded weird to say, but it's accurate.
Is this like newer era or older?
It is
Is
all
it
time.
Marino?
All time.
No, I know. I'm asking for a hint, I guess.
Marino is third.
Third?
Marino is third.
Wait, what era did you say he's in?
I didn't. I just said all time.
Oh my god.
Are you going to give us a hint?
Nope. Let me put it this way. You all watch this man play football.
Phillip Rivers.
Phillip Rivers. Bing, bing, bing. 63,440 yards.
The best thing to come out of state.
The
Dude's got like 12 kids, too.
Yeah. The number 2 is Matt Ryan, right behind him. And then Dan Marino.
That really sucks for that, right?
Yeah, it does. 23
Was up 28 to 3.
Yeah. And then you got Dan Campbell. Nope. Got, what's that guy's name? Not Dan Campbell.
Marino.
Dan Marino?
No. He's the head coach for Washington now. Dan Quinn. Wrong Dan.
Oh.
Dan Quinn took his foot off the gas, just coasted his way to a Super Bowl overtime loss.
Oh, I thought you were talking quarterbacks, and I was like, the only other Dan I know is Orlovsky.
No, he ran out of the back of the end zone.
Phillip Rivers, man, that guy was always a fantasy juggernaut.
Yeah, I was a Chargers fan because of him. Like, I wanted him to win, and then Nate Kading never wanted them to win, their kicker, and so he just kept missing that shit right at the end, and it was just, what are you going to do?
Yo, fun fact, Phillip Rivers coaches high school football in Alabama now.
Does his team go to the playoffs because he didn't when he was in the NFL?
The 3A playoffs.
Does Phillip
Let's
Rivers
hope they
have
do.
the same head coaching treatment that Brett Favre had in Mississippi?
Oh, I don't know about that.
Getting
What
that
happened
money?
over there? Oh. No, probably not. No, this is a small school.
Oh.
Half the team are probably his kids.
Like, doesn't he have like exactly 10 to make like the exact amount that he needs to create an entire offense around him?
Yeah.
Well, that would be 11.
Around him,
No, he would be the
said,
quarterback. He would be
Yeah,
the
oh,
quarterback.
the quarterback.
Around him.
Yeah.
Okay.
He has to choose 5 of his kids to just put on a tremendous amount of weight.
Well, thanks for that fun little game there.
Hey, no problem, guys.
I like that.
All right, well, since Garrett is a Seahawks fan, we're going to talk a little bit about the Seahawks and maybe throw some NFC West in there as well. So, kind of just start off with the Seahawks here, Garrett. So, I want to talk a little bit about Sam Darnold.
Oh gosh.
So, you guys signed him this offseason after trading Geno Smith, and kind of just to throw out some stats from Sam Darnold here, and then I have a question for you. Last season, Sam Darnold had a career year with the Vikings. He had a passer rating of 102.5, which was better than quarterbacks like Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Jaden Daniels, and Jordan Love, just to name a few. That was the only season in his career that he's had a quarterback rating that was above 100. Prior to that, his highest quarterback rating was 92.6. That was in a season that he only played 6 games. Outside of that season, he had never had a quarterback rating that's above a 90. So this season with Sam Darnold, do you see him being able to repeat the success he had in Minnesota last year in his only good season of his career? Or do you think that he's going to revert back to the Sam Darnold that we saw before he was with the Vikings?
I am going to say he's going to revert back to the same old Sam Darnold. But I don't think it's going to be because of him. I think it's because he's going to go to a Seattle kind of offensive line.
They gave up the 3rd most sacks last year.
Yeah, that is a very big subject that every time I talk about Seattle, someone has to bring up the offensive line. Because kind of at the end of the season, he was talking about how he was kind of going back to seeing some ghosts. I think with DK being gone, I'm glad we brought in Kupp. He's more effective than DK was in the red zone, which is where we struggled massively. I'm a big fan of AJ Barner from Michigan, tight end. I think the supporting cast that we have in Seattle around him, excluding offensive line, is great. But it's not Vikings type of great like they had last year, you know? I mean, they had Jay Jettis. Hawkinson came in a little late to the season, but he still played really well for them. Addison played well. I think we do the exact same that we did this season. Maybe even slightly worse because Geno was decently elusive in the pocket whenever he needed to be. I don't think Darnold is our answer.
Okay. Well, I have a comparison to make between Sam Darnold and somebody else, and I want you guys to tell me if this is fair. Minnesota Vikings 2017, Case Keenum is the quarterback. Prior to signing with the Vikings, Case Keenum had never had a quarterback rating above an 88. He goes to the Vikings. He has his best year of his career. He had a quarterback rating of 98.3. He had a career high in completion percentage with 67.6%. Then he leaves the Vikings after 1 season, goes to the Broncos, and has never had the same success that he had in his 1 season with the Vikings. That's kind of what I thought of when I thought about Sam Darnold and the Vikings. What do you guys think?
Vikings got that magic, I guess.
They do. Different head coach, too.
That gives me any kind of hope for J.J. McCarthy. I have already said on this show that I have no hope for that guy, and I think the Vikings will take a huge step back because of that. They're going to end up signing Kirk Cousins from the Falcons or trading for him. But if they have the quarterback whisperer up there in the north, then by George, do it.
So, Garrett, follow up with that. So, just to make sure I heard you correctly, so you said that you don't think Sam Darnold is going to repeat his success, correct?
No, I don't think it's the answer. I would love for me to be wrong and you guys to edit back to this whenever we win the Super Bowl next year. But
Okay.
I don't think it's going to happen.
You're going to look like a bad fan if y'all win. Everyone's going to look like a bad fan.
Yeah.
I would love to be wrong. Whenever we signed him, I was in class and I was so happy. And then I got home and it kind of wore off and I was like, Oh.
So, guys, I'm going to go ahead and put it on the spreadsheet that Sam Darnold and the Seahawks are winning the Super Bowl.
We heard it here first from Garrett.
It's with the highest odds, so if that happens, you automatically win.
Hey, I saw something. The last 2 times there's been a new pope, the following season of the NFL, the Seattle Seahawks made the Super Bowl. So
That's a fun fact.
That is incredibly fascinating.
we got something on our side this year.
Yeah,
Okay.
a Pope killer.
This
Whether
new
it's-
one's from Chicago, though, so
Yeah.
Bears.
does that mean anything? Does that mean, yeah.
More like duh, Pope.
It's probably still Seattle. Probably still Seattle.
First time ever 2 NFC teams make the Super Bowl somehow. Something wild goes on, and
They just changed the rules in the
Yeah.
playoffs.
Let me ask, what do you think of Jalen Milroe?
if he works on his accuracy, I think he can be special. I love elusive quarterbacks. My favorite type of quarterback to watch. I grew up watching people like Cam Newton. I love elusive quarterbacks. I will never forget the game. I think it was in the playoffs like 2 years ago or something, whenever he was on the run and he just ran in front of the line of scrimmage. He didn't know he was in front of the line of scrimmage. He just started throwing the ball and Flash just went flying. If he can improve his pocket awareness, I can see him being a good bridge quarterback, not a kind of further down the line kind of quarterback. I don't think he's going to be that kind of, oh my gosh, we're going to the Super Bowl kind of quarterback. I don't see that.
So you don't think he's going to be like a Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson type?
No.
I do.
You do.
Avery actually picked him to have the best career of all the quarterbacks in this draft class.
Really?
I think he's gonna. It may not be this year, just because I think that they've paid Darnold enough to just be like, we're gonna, as long as he's healthy, we're gonna see where this goes with a full year. But no, I think Milroe is gonna be special.
I would love him
Despite
to
the
be.
year he had previously at Alabama, which wasn't great, and his Senior Bowl.
So I have a couple stats to throw out in defense of Jalen Milroe. In 2 years as a starter at Alabama, he actually completed 65% of his passes.
Okay.
Which, for as bad as everybody says his accuracy is, 65% is not bad. Now, he did throw 17 interceptions in those 2 years, but he also threw 39 touchdowns. In 1 year, he had 23 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. The next year, he had 16 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. So he actually got worse in his touchdown to interception ratio, but that can be fixed. Going back to Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson, when they came into the league, Jalen Hurts didn't play his entire rookie season, but in his rookie season, the games he did play, he only completed 52% of his passes, and he's gotten consistently better throughout his career. And now look at what he is. Lamar Jackson in his first season, he only completed 58.2% of his passes, and then he's gotten consistently better as a passer. So if Jalen Milroe can kind of follow that same trajectory, I think he can be the future franchise quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks.
I mean, not better than Will Howard, but I mean, I think that's just a
I
given.
don't hate Will Howard.
Oh, no.
I
Go on.
am not
keep going,
a
keep
complete.
going.
I know a lot of people are not. I am not a hater in Will Howard. Is he gonna be Super Bowl winning? No, but I could
Yes.
see him taking a team to the playoffs.
Tim Tebow took a team to the playoffs. Okay, Rex Grossman.
We talked about that last week.
Rex Grossman took a team all the way to the Super Bowl. Okay, it can't be that hard.
I mean, he also has that Pittsburgh black magic over there.
Of losing in the first round?
At
Joel's a
least to
Steelers
make
fan
it. No,
Secondary.
by marriage.
by marriage.
The Steelers are like for me are like your Panthers.
Oh, yeah. I will root for the Panthers every time I see them, except if they're playing against Seattle, which they are playing in Carolina for the first time since 2019 against Seattle. And this is going to be the first Seattle game I go to on December 27th.
I went to the Panthers-Seahawks playoff game in Charlotte. This had to have been like 2015 or 16.
Was it the year the Panthers went to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I remember the Seahawks just blew it.
Yeah,
I can't
do that.
remember if it was it might have, one of the teams was up. I think it was the Panthers. And then, or maybe it was, I can't remember. I think it might have been the Seahawks. And they were just playing not to lose for like 2 quarters. And you just see that lead just dwindle. Like, in real time. I remember because we got heckled. It was me and Austin. We got heckled the whole way up. On the way back, no one said a word to us. That's how bad the loss was. They're like, these guys are going through it. I don't need to.
My first Carolina game I went to, I was in like 3rd grade. My dad took us against Miami, and we blew them out of the water 49-10. And there was this Miami fan right behind us that left in like the middle of the 3rd, and it was a fun sight to see.
I can only imagine how polite everybody is over there for it.
Which team has the worst fan base?
Eagles.
That's off topic.
Eagles. The answer is
Eagles
It
for
is the
sure.
Eagles.
Eagles for
They
sure.
I'd say
are
the
snowballs of
49ers.
Santa Claus.
Or
No,
49ers.
I have
the
never
Eagles
met a
have
good
a
49ers
jail
fan.
in their stadium.
A jail in their stadium?
That is, and a judge. They have a jail and a judge in their own stadium. It is the Eagles. There is no question.
It's just Philadelphia stuff. They have to do that.
Just Philly things, right?
It's public safety.
Do y'all remember whenever New England and Philly played, and before the Super Bowl, New England started like waxing down all their light poles because they were like, win or lose, we're getting our city's being destroyed tonight, and we're not even Philly.
They have to, yeah.
And then they lost.
And no one could climb up those poles.
They still do anyway. That's not true. They still do. It's just the 10th person instead of the first person. Everyone gets a little
Might
bit
have to
higher.
rub all the Vaseline off the
exactly.
poles.
Exactly. All that city funding going to greasing up the poles
It's
doesn't
like
matter.
World War Z. It's just all the zombies piling up, and eventually, just have enough
Honestly,
mass underneath them they can get up. Enough people trying to go up that pole. Eventually, it'll be dry.
Shout out.
I would have to agree with Avery, though. I do not like 49ers fans at all.
Mm-mm.
I think 49er fans may be the most ignorant, and I know what I'm saying and where I'm saying that. I think they may be the most ignorant, but I think Eagles fans are the worst. And there's a difference.
I can agree with
There's
that.
a difference.
Yeah.
49ers
Yeah.
fans are just annoying because they make every player a 49ers god.
I think it's because I grew up with them.
That is the
If you
real
weren't a
problem.
Seahawks fan in Oregon, you were a Niners fan. I mean, unless you just had some weird other allegiance, but
I don't remember the last time I saw a Carolina fan in Carolina. we're so bad now that every time I'm like, oh, who do you like? The Bengals or the Niners or just some random team.
everyone
After-
in North Carolina calls them the South Carolina Panthers. We're like, just wash our hands of this.
After Cam Newton didn't die for that fumble in the Super Bowl, they're just like, okay, it's time to hang it up.
Is TJ still a big Panthers fan?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
He just doesn't say it out loud.
He doesn't say anything out loud.
Yeah. Our cousin's mute.
He works at the movie theater, so he'd get free movie theater tickets, and he would use his free movie ticket to sit on the end and then buy one next to him so no one could sit next to him.
Movie theater corruption.
I respect the hustle.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do.
He is still a Carolina fan because he was talking. He was like, Jalen Coker is better than Jackson Smith and Jigba. He was just going on this long rant about how everybody was better than Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Okay, well, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
No.
Hey, TJ. He's watching, probably.
I can guarantee you that like 95% of NFL fans don't even know who Jalen Coker is.
Watching him bring back that tutty all the way to the house. I didn't expect him to score on that play either. He just brought it all the way.
Well, to be fair, nobody expected the Panthers to score on any play.
True. Including Bryce Young.
The Panthers' top 3 wide receivers, 2 of them being undrafted free agents, is amazing.
They should be able to, if you have like consecutive abysmal seasons, there should be a clause to like remove the owner. There should be something
Remove
like
the
they
owner.
need. Like I know we talked about, you can't trade like your owners. You can trade coaches, not owners, but there should be some sort of clause where it's like, look, like the city's gonna do this to you by force if we don't just evict you right now.
Jerry Jones would have been
75
long
cents on
gone.
the dollar.
Oh, yeah.
He's
Jerry
never
Jones would have been gone a long time ago.
he's never been consistently bad though. That's the problem. He's bad and then he's fine and he's bad again. Or he
Well,
has
there was all
good
those.
enough. Just good
There
enough
was
to
all
sneak
those
by.
seasons where Jason Garrett went.
Yeah, I was
8-8.
gonna say there's the 10 years of Jason Garrett where we were just extreme mediocrity.
The best mediocre team you could find.
You can't get better because you keep doing okay.
All right, let's get back to the Seahawks.
If we have
Okay.
to.
So, okay. All right, Garrett. So another question for you. So considering all the moves that the Seahawks have made in their wide receiver room this season, do you think the Seahawks got better or worse at wide receiver?
To start off, I love Cup. I've always loved Cup. He was on the Rams, so I hated him, but I secretly loved him. I loved watching him play. Hated watching him play against us. One of our biggest struggles was in the red zone. Cup was more effective than DK was in the red zone last year. I love Torrey Horton from Colorado State. Maybe a little biased because one of my really good friends goes to Colorado State, but I still love Torrey Horton as a wide receiver himself. I think we did get slightly worse losing DK because I love Jackson, Smith and Jigba, don't get me wrong, but I feel like part of the reason that he had such great success was DK is just an athletic freak, that he was just getting double teamed every time, taking some men off of Jackson Bethune-Jigba. But I think if JSN can really lock in that wide receiver 1 position, Kupp can really fill in that 2. I think we also got Valdez-Scantling. I think he's going to be the 3. I love Bobo. Every Seattle fan loves Bobo. He was a great red zone threat for us. So, again, always struggling in the red zone. Moving on from Geno, going to Sam Darnold, and then moving on from DK, going to Kupp, I think we're really going to improve where we're struggling the most, which is most of what we can hope for. But I think that we did get slightly worse wide receiver-wise for now. But I think in the future, Torrey Horton, JSN, they're going to be a solid wide receiver group in the future. But stating now, I think we got slightly worse.
Out of all the players and coaches that Seattle lost, which one hurts the most?
I get one Seattle Seahawks jersey a year for Christmas. 2 years ago was DK Metcalf. So that's 1 year just wasted. So I loved DK. Love him to death.
Now he gets to go play with Will Howard, the next MVP of the NFL.
I know.
No,
I know.
Rookie of the Year, you watch your mouth.
Side comment. I randomly just remembered this. The starting middle linebacker for the Seattle Seahawks, Ernest Jones IV, follows me back on Instagram.
What?
I commented on one of his posts because he posted about him and his wife having a baby, and I was like, "Oh, congrats!" Just I never comment on any posts. It's just the one that I commented on, and I wake up to a notification saying that he followed me back. So,
Are you sure that's legit?
it is. I have like triple checked.
I'm going to go look him up now and just comment on his post and just say congrats regardless of what the post is. And just
See if he follows you
us
back. He's followed by Seattle. He's verified. I'm 99% sure it's him. I have a player who has a ring following me on Instagram right now. So
The guy that followed him also said that he's in some financial straits and needs $500 in Amazon gift cards to help straighten out his situation.
Click this link.
he's gonna pull one of those. I have Geno Smith with me right here. He also says he wants some money.
All right. Next question for you, Garrett.
Mm-hmm.
Which NFC West rival do you hate the most and why?
The 49ers, because of their fans. They think that they are just the best team ever. And then they, for a short period of time, were the best team ever. And then they lost the Super Bowl. So,
Just to throw this out there, they haven't won a Super Bowl in a longer amount of time than the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, eat it.
You may have been to 3, but they haven't won it.
At least we've been there. Yeah, okay, pal. Okay.
Yeah. I think their downfall will be extending Purdy for as much as they extended him for.
Agreed.
All right. Well, a couple last questions here, and then we will wrap this up. So Will actually has a question from one of our fans who is a Seattle Seahawks fan that he wanted us to ask you.
Is this from Garrett?
Yes, I asked
actually
myself
not.
this question.
So I openly talk about this show. I usually leave the name out, but openly talk about that I do this show at work. And I've got a guy who has seen every episode and messages me every Wednesday asking when the new episode's going to be out. He wants to know, and let's start with the easy one, top 5 favorite Seahawks players of all time. And if you say Sean Alexander, I'm going to know you're lying.
Top 5. Bobby Wagner.
Commanders
Marshall
player.
as number
Is
1?
Wagner 5 or 1?
Oh, are we ranking them?
No order. Just name 5 players that you probably can name.
Bobby
And then
Wagner.
I will inevitably ask which one is top. But go ahead.
Bobby Wagner, Marshawn Lynch, Richard Sherman, Russell Wilson,
Steeler.
and
Or Jaguar or Giants.
gotta go with my boy who follows me back, Ernest Jones the Fourth.
Checks out.
DK?
Yeah, I love him, but he's not up there. My favorite being Russell Wilson. He is
Mr. Unlimited.
watching prime Russell Wilson was the best experience I think I will ever have in my life.
All 3 years.
Ooh.
Watching him throw that interception in the Super Bowl was pretty great, too.
Watching him audible out of it, because everybody's like, why would Pete Carroll call that? But Russell Wilson audibled out of a run into a pass.
Can't win them all, especially that one, even though it was very winnable. That's not the point. Next question here. Do you feel nervous about the shakeup Mike Macdonald has done in the offseason so far? And we kind of talked about this a bit. But what do you think it's going to take to become an actual contender for Seattle? What
Become an actual contender.
Yeah. So how do you feel about the current shakeup Mike Macdonald's doing, and what is it going to take to become an actual contender?
Mike Macdonald is a very big defensive-minded coach. He brought us from kind of a bottom tier defense to a really, really amazing defense to what I think we will become. We ranked 14th this year, but we also placed 23rd overall in offense, placing 8th in passing, 28th in rushing. It also kind of depends on our general manager. He's come out multiple times and said he doesn't want to spend a lot of money on a guard that's just going to protect the quarterback. I love the Gray Zabel pick, though. Getting an offensive lineman that's not just going to protect the quarterback like thinks it's going to do, but also bumping up that 28th in rushing to helping protect Kenneth Walker III and Zach Charbonnet in the rushing game is really, really going to help us improve a lot. I also love one of our second-round picks, Nicky Manwuri from South Carolina. Ran a 4.38 time, placed second in all safeties this year by .01 to Marquise Sigel. Cannot pronounce the safety who ran faster than him. I suck at pronouncing names, kind of like Will.
There hasn't been any...
Sheepers, pal!
I was going to say, there hasn't been any lack of mispronunciations on this show, so...
Good golly, asking solid questions and then catching strays in the answer.
One of the biggest concerns that I hear about Gray Zabel is that he played at North Dakota State, which is a D2 school.
Yep.
But there are two notable NFL players, at least the only two notable ones that I could find, that played there, were Christian Watson and Carson Wentz.
That's not a great list.
I could not be happier you didn't bring up Trey Lance. I was sure you were going to say Carson Wentz, Trey Lance, but oof.
Nope. We're going to stay away from Trey Lance for a second. I also think this is going to be a Byron Murphy II kind of explosive kind of year. Our first round pick last year, I loved this pick out of Texas. A lot of people said that he was kind of like an Aaron Donald 2.0. I don't think he'll be that good, but he ate up a massive amount of blocks this year to make way for people like Hankins, Boye Mafe, Leonard Williams, obviously. Kind of been a more rotational player, but I think once he kind of steps up to the plate, he's going to just get to the quarterback every single play, kind of like Myles Garrett. He's going to play defensive tackle. So Leonard Williams is also getting a little old, so that's one edge rusher that's kind of going to be gone. We fired our offensive coordinator, which I am extremely happy that we did. And then we took New Orleans offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak. Kubiak. Thank you. Would I have had him over some amazing other offensive coordinator? No, but I believe for us and our system, he is the best one that was available for us. He knows how to manage run game like he did with Alvin Kamara. He's going to do with Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. And I think he can also really kind of settle us into that passing game, especially with Sam Darnold being new into our team. I think if we can bolster up the offensive line a little bit, kind of start feeding Kenneth Walker and Charbonnet a little bit more, getting that from 28th in rushing up a little bit, because that is abysmal for spending 2 straight second-round picks on running backs. If Torrey Horton, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, and Cooper Kupp play how I expect them to play, I think we'll have no problem at least making a 7 seed this year.
Okay. Will, what's your coworker's name?
Joey Case.
Joey, thanks for your questions.
Docs.
Oh, yeah.
Not even just the first.
Nope. I want him to know. Pure love from me to Joey.
Joey, we appreciate your questions. It's the first fan question we've had on this show, so we appreciate you reaching out and giving those questions to Will for us to answer on the show. All right, Garrett, last thing here. So this isn't necessarily a question, but I want to do this record prediction. So I'm just going to go through the schedule for the Seahawks, and I want you just to tell us, you don't have to tell us why, just tell us win or loss on each game. So week 1, home versus the 49ers.
That's a loss.
Okay, week 2, at the Steelers.
It's a win.
Week 3, home versus the Saints.
Versus the Saints, I think that's a win.
Week 4, at Cardinals.
That's a win.
Week 5, home versus the Bucks.
That's going to be close. I'm going to go loss.
Week 6, at Jags.
Win.
Week 7 is versus the Texans at home.
I'm going to go loss.
Man, the Seahawks aren't good at home, are they?
They did terrible at home this year. They won far more games on the road than at home this year.
All right, week 8 is a bye. Week 9 is at Commanders.
That's a loss.
Week 10 at home versus the Cardinals.
That's a win. We've not lost the Cardinals in 4 years.
Week 11 at the Rams.
At Rams, I'm going to go loss.
Week 12 at Titans.
That's a win.
Week 13 at home versus the Vikings.
I'm going to say J.J. McCarthy does exactly what I expect him to do this year and kind of go off a little bit, so I'm going to say that's a loss.
Week 14 at Falcons.
Hit that as a win.
Week 15 at home versus the Colts.
That's a win.
Week 16 at home versus the Rams.
That's a win. Just barely, though.
Week 17 at Carolina.
That's a win.
And week 18 at 49ers.
That's a win.
Okay, so let me tally this up here. So we've got
So you
1,
have
2,
them winning.
3,
You have them
4,
winning the West
5,
then.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 wins, 6 losses.
That's what-
11 and 6.
And
Yeah.
with your,
Oh, yeah.
with your wins and losses over your divisional rivals there, you have them winning the West.
I think they can do it. I think with the Niners losing Dre Greenlaw and Hufanga, their defense kind of dies down a little bit. Them trading away Debo was kind of a need, but if he goes off in Washington, it'll be kind of sad for them. Cardinals, no reason other than we haven't lost them in 4 years. I don't expect to now. And Rams, we always have trouble against them, but we always do better on the road because Seattle fans always sell their tickets. So
Okay. Well, we have a Seahawks fan in our sports podcasting group on Instagram. He predicts the Seahawks to go 12 and 5.
I think
Seahawks fans
max
delusional.
12 and 5, minimum like 8 and 9, minimum.
I'm going to put that on our spreadsheet.
Oh yeah.
That's a prediction. Okay. Well, there you have it. Seahawks are going 11 and 6. They're going to win the NFC West. That's all we have time for on the show today. Another big thank you to Garrett for coming on and being our guest today and talking about the Seahawks with us. We appreciate it. Stay tuned for next week with more NFL talk. We will be back. And as always, don't forget to keep your balls played with. We'll see you next time.
Also, Mark Davis' haircut still sucks.